and 7 Plus just got announced. We're going to take a look at the 7 Plus specifically in this video, address some of the key features that the phone has to offer, and of course do a head-to-head comparison between the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, which seems fairly logical to do so. So we're going to take a look at the specification comparison between these two devices, so that way if you guys are interested in getting a large format smartphone, you have some direction to go to. So let's get right into it. Now, dimensionally speaking, when it comes to the design of the new iPhone 7 Plus, it's going to be slightly larger when it comes to width and length compared to the Note 7. Not by a huge margin, but it is going to be larger. It is going to be slightly thinner than the Note 7, measuring about 7.3 millimeters. It's about 7.9 millimeters, but it's going to be a little bit heavy, about 188 grams versus 169 grams on the Note 7 side. Thankfully, both phones are dust and water resistant to some extent. The Note 7 can go a little bit deeper than the iPhone, but not by a huge margin, probably another half meter more when it comes to fully submerging the devices in liquid. The glass on the Note 7 is strengthened using Gorilla Glass 5 technology and ion strengthened glass on the iPhone 7 Plus. Beyond those notions in terms of sensors, both have fingerprint scanners. The Samsung does have a heart rate and oxygen sensor, as well as an iris scanner for security purposes. We do have the new Force Touch home button on the iPhone 7 Plus, just like the standard 7. So that uses basically a non-mechanical haptic feedback system to give you some sort of active feedback to let you know that you've engaged a button press. And lastly, when it comes to connectivity, the Note 7 does have, thankfully, a 3.5mm headphone jack, as well as a reversible Type-C connection, but the iPhone 7 Plus does not have anything but one connection. That's the Lightning connector, so that means you're going to need the 3.5mm to Lightning adapter, which thankfully comes inside the box to hook up a traditional pair of earphones or headphones. You also do get a pair of Lightning headphones inside all the new iPhone 7s as well. Plus, you do have brand new speaker integration. It's stereo and it's front-facing speakers on the new iPhone 7 Plus, which is going to be a huge benefit when it comes to overall volume and audio quality. Most likely, it's going to give you better audio quality than the Note 7, and of course, we'll do a physical check to determine which one sounds the best. Moving forward, when it comes to display, the Note 7 still has the larger display, 5.7-inch versus 5.5 on the 7 Plus. The 7 Plus, we don't really have a major upgrade in terms of overall technology on the display side, still using an IPS LED backlit display with 3D touch integration. You do have wider color gamut and slightly brighter overall panel, still at 1920 by 1080 with the PPI count about 401, versus you have 518 PPI with a Quad HD Super AMOLED display on the Note 7. Most likely the Note 7 will probably look better in reality, certainly when it comes to the black levels and overall sharpness of the display. Now, when it comes to the internal specs of both these two smartphones, obviously they're running on different platforms. On the iPhone side, you have the new Apple A10 Fusion chip. It's a 64-bit quad-core chip that has two high-performance cores and two high-efficiency cores for better overall app utilization as well as overall power management. So it'll give you hopefully better battery life optimization with those two low-efficiency cores. RAM is uncertain in terms of what the exact capacity is on the iPhone 7 Plus, perhaps somewhere between 2 or 3 gigabytes. We'll, of course, confirm that once we have more details. We have 4 gigabyte of RAM on the Note 7, and most of the devices are using the Exynos octa-core 8890 chip, which has a mainline T880 graphics processor, and on the Apple A10 Fusion chip, the GPU performance is about 50% faster than the older generation A9. Memory capacity is about 32, 128, and 256 gigabyte versions for the iPhones. You do not have any expandable memory like you have on the Note 7, but most of the Note 7s are going to be 64 gigabytes internal capacity, but thankfully, again, you have that expandable memory memory, which is always a plus thing. Of course, stay tuned for our dedicated performance test video where we'll put these two devices head to head and see which one actually comes out on top in terms of internal performance. Now moving on to, of course, one of the most important and key aspect about these two particular smartphones, especially the iPhone 7 Plus, is now we have dual cameras. So we actually have two 12 megapixel cameras with two individual lenses on the iPhone 7. You have a single 12 megapixel camera on the Note 7, and it has a maximum aperture of about f1.7, which is a little bit larger than the widest aperture on the iPhone, not by a huge margin, and it's about 26 millimeters in terms of overall natural optics. When it comes to the new iPhone 7 Plus, because it has two lenses and two cameras, you have one that's rated for f1.8 at 28 millimeters, so a little bit of a wider perspective, and then you have a telephoto lens at f2.8 at 56 millimeters, so you have about 2 times optical zoom. Now, the key benefit of this is, one, you can obviously zoom into photos without really any degradation of the image whatsoever, because you're doing it optically like you would do on a professional DSLR with a telephoto lens or a proper zoom lens. And on top of that, you can do shallow depth of field, which is really exciting for a lot of you photo geeks out there that want to actually take really cool looking images like you would find in a lot of traditional portrait photography, where the background is nicely blurred out to the foreground image so you can focus in on your subject. It's never been properly done on a smartphone, and there's still some clever software technology that's going to be analyzing the depth of the image and doing some calculations to give you that shallow depth of field filmic-like look, but it's going to be interesting to see how it works in reality. Obviously, both cameras have phase detection autofocusing as well as optical stabilization. When it comes to the front-facing cameras, you have 7 megapixels on the iPhone 7 Plus and 5 megapixels on the Note 7. Both can do 1080p video, of course, on the front side, and both can shoot 4K video at 30 FPS, 1080p at 60 FPS, and slow motion at 240 frames per second in 720p. So again, we're going to be doing a full-on dedicated camera comparison video between these two smartphones, which is going to be really exciting with the dual cameras on the iPhone 7 Plus. Last but not least, let's talk about battery life. The Note 7 comes equipped with a 3500 milliamp hour battery that's equipped with fast charging as well as wireless charging capabilities. We don't have official wireless charging or fast charging capabilities on the new iPhone 7 Plus. The battery performance is going to be rated to about 1 more hour on average compared to the previous generation iPhone 6s Plus, and it's going to give you roughly about 21 hours of 3G talk time. We don't have a confirmed measurement in terms of how large the internal battery is, probably under 3000 milliamp hours most likely, and the battery life is a significant upgrade from the previous generation iPhone. But again, we'll definitely check out the battery performance of the new iPhone 7 Plus and see how it stacks up against the Note 7, so stay tuned for that dedicated camera comparison. But really on that, guys, that's really it. Generally speaking, the iPhone 7 Plus is definitely in an interesting smartphone direction. With no headphone jack, the dual camera system. There's definitely some interesting features that's going to kind of change the landscape of smartphones beyond this. We'll see if this will be a trend to have dual cameras, but certainly in terms of a photography standpoint, there's a lot of different compelling options. And we're